beauty, hardwood has unique characteristics that make it ideal for use in areas that demand high strength without massive size. Since hardwood is not normally used in construction, there's no need for uniform building sizes such as 2x4s, 4x4s, 4x12s, and so forth. The mills can cut the log to realize the maximum yield because the woodworker will typically glue up the pieces of wood to get the sizes or the effect he or she wants. That leads us to how a woodworker measures hardwood. First, let's look at the basics. Hardwood lumber is measured in units called board feet, abbreviated BF. This is 1 board foot. It is 1 foot or 12 inches wide, 1 foot long, and 1 inch thick. It is a measurement of volume. To calculate the board feet in a piece of hardwood lumber, multiply the width in inches and fractions by the length in whole feet rounded down to the nearest whole number times the thickness in inches, which you round down to the nearest 1/4 inch. Then divide this by 12. The answer is rounded up or down to the nearest whole number. Because most boards are 1 inch thick, quite often woodworkers shorten the calculations to length times width divided by 12. This is convenient, but it is not true board measure or board feet, which remember is a measurement of volume. But this rather is a measurement of the surface area or surface measure, SM. Now, once you know the surface measure, the board measure is found by multiplying by the thickness. For example, a board 5 inches by 12 feet is 5 feet surface measure, and it is also 5 board feet if the board is 1 inch thick. But if the board is 2 inches thick, it still has a surface measure of 5 feet, but it has a volume of 10 board feet. It is a common practice to state all measurements of lumber less than 1 inch thick as though it were board foot measure of 1 inch lumber. Technically, this might be better stated as square feet or surface measure, abbreviated SM or board feet surface measure, BFSM, rather than board feet or BF. But if you want an easier way to measure the board feet, a very useful and simple instrument called the board rule or lumber rule that performs board calculations for you. The board rule has a number of graduated scales across both faces, each corresponding to a particular length of lumber. One size has odd lengths, the other even lengths. To use the board rule, place the metal head of the ruler tightly against one edge of the board and read down the scales corresponding to the length of the board. This board is 12 feet long, so where the other edge crosses the board rule, we read the board feet. This piece of lumber has 6 board feet. If the board you were measuring was only 6 feet long, you would use the 12-foot scale and divide your answer in half. Remember, the lumber rule only measures surface measure, so you have to multiply the reading indicated by the thickness of the piece, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 8/4, and so forth. You've noticed that in measuring hardwood, the numbers are often rounded either up or down. Since hardwood lumber is edged only enough to remove bark and wane and therefore conserve the usable portion of the log, widths are not whole numbers, but inches and fractions of inches. Lengths run in increments of 1 foot rather than 2 feet as in softwoods, and every overlength is rounded down to the next lowest foot. If you have